just got back from Stump Pass Beach, and that was in Englewood, Florida. I wanted to talk to you from Stump Pass Beach, but it was a little too windy, so I thought I'd better come home and talk to you from here. It was absolutely another beautiful day, and as much as I love my town, Northport, I would love to live on the water, but Englewood is just too far off away from the highway or Route 41, which are both like the main roads to get, go north or go south. It would just take too long for Rick to get to his customers. If you were looking to be on the water and affordable, I'd have to say Port Charlotte. There's a lot of houses that are right on the water where you can put your boat and go off into the bay or that leads into the Gulf of Mexico. Today I want to talk about what to pack when moving to Florida. This video is great for those of you who want to move here or plan on moving here, but it's also good for those of you moving to any other state than where you are living, because when you're moving out of state it gets very expensive. And I will talk about our experience moving here to Florida as far as what to pack. Of course, if you have unlimited resources and you're moving to a place with unlimited space, bring everything down. You have nothing to worry about. But for those of you who probably fit in some of my category, where you're downsizing, moving into a smaller place, either an apartment or even if you're moving into a house, if you're from the north, most likely you have a basement and or attic. So coming down here, you're not going to have an attic, you're not going to have a basement. So you think that's not a big deal, but every little thing you bring down here takes up space, much more than you would think. Now, if you moved as much as I have in your lifetime, then you already know what I'm talking about. I must have moved about 15 times, mostly before we got married. Probably moved every year. I loved moving. But moving from our property in Ohio with all our things, if you're a single person, it's much easier to move, but still be very careful what you bring, because you're not going to need most of what you have if you're from colder climates. We're from northern Ohio, along Lake Erie, where we had lake effect snows and it was very cold and snowy, so we had boots and coats and Carhartts and long johns and hats and all that type of thing, scarves. So you don't need any of that down here. This is my experience. When we were packing to leave, actually 2 years before we moved, I had already started downsizing. As you know, from the previous video, I talked about how it took about 2 years to figure out what we were doing and keeping a notebook with all my questions and information. I started getting rid of big pieces of furniture, cabinets that I didn't need extra. So I started selling those type of things and the things that were in it, and you can't believe how much, or maybe you do believe, or you know how much you can accumulate in a home. The longer you stay, the more you accumulate, especially when people give you things. We didn't buy hardly any toys for our children, but we got grandparents. I have got a sister with 9 kids. When they outgrew their stuff, we got it. The problem is you get this attachment and you're like, oh, that rocking horse, my baby girl was on it, I gotta bring that. You can't. Think about it. How are you going to bring your things down here? Here's the options I found. The pod, or something similar to the pod. It's like a shipping container, and they're very expensive. 6 years ago, it was like $3,000, and I wheeled and dealed, and I got it for like $2,500. A shipping container, small one. It's their large, but it wasn't that big. And I had to fit all of my life belongings in this pod. It's better just to get rid of everything and just buy what you need when you get here. It's just a real hassle. As careful and organized as I thought we were, I still brought too much stuff. As I said, we got rid of the bigger items. I got rid of all the clothes. Oh, it was so hard to get rid of like baby clothes. This is a little dress my girl wore, and a little outfit my boy wore, and I'm a sentimental person, so it was difficult. And then you have trophies, from my roller skating days, and ribbons, and oh, I can go on and on. Just stuff that we have, or knickknacks that people gave you as gifts. And you know, it's like, oh, but they gave it to me. So what I did, because I had to downsize, I had no choice, I couldn't bring it all. I took pictures of my trophies, and that was my brother's idea. Give him credit for that, and that was an excellent idea, because now I can still see it, say, oh, there it is. I could show people, you know, that was that trophy I won, or that's the outfit my daughter wore, you know, or communion. Actually, I think I have that one still in a box. Yeah, I did bring that one, now that I think about it. But you get the idea. So I took pictures of everything that I thought was really important, and then I either sold it or donated it. I donated a lot. We had some yard sales, of course, because any money that we got from the items I sold, we had to pay for the move, because we did get the pod. Now the other option you have is to these semi trucks. They will put your stuff in the truck with other people's. But I didn't want to go that way because I was afraid they would get mixed up. My boxes and my things would get mixed up. I didn't like the idea that somebody might be able to get through and go through my things. It was cheaper, but still very expensive. I think it was maybe $800 or $1,000, and that's for a small amount too. You know, I forget exactly how much space they give you, but it's not a lot. With the pod, they bring it to your house on our driveway. We were able to fill the pod, put a lock on it, and then when we were ready, they would pick up the pod and bring it down here to Florida for us. So nothing was touched other than by us. No one was going through our things. So that's why we chose that versus like a semi-truck. The other way to move, of course, is getting yourself a U-Haul. Again, you know, it's not that big, even the biggest ones. And you're going to spend a lot of money on the rental, the gas, and the stress. Oh my gosh, it's just very stressful, especially if you have a family, you got kids, and you got your wife following you in the car. And for us, the pod was just the easiest way. We were able to travel down here as a family. There's some people, instead of the U-Haul truck, they just rent a trailer. But again, you can only bring so much, and it costs, and you have to move it. So if you're young and you have a good back, you can do that. But whatever you do, you're not going to be able to bring a lot of stuff. So if you have kids, take pictures of all those sentimental things. The main things you want to keep, of course, are your pictures. Those, you know, you don't want to get rid of. I guess you could scan them and stuff, but I'm still wanting my photo albums. I work at home, so it's not like I work in an office where I need outfits and whatnot. I would just bring your very favorite couple of outfits and sell or donate everything, and just get what you need when you get here. You're going to come down here and see you're not going to use almost anything that you brought down. I brought down a coffee table, 2 coffee tables that Rick made for me, and my aunt's kitchen table. I brought some of the kids' stuffed animals. I probably should have left more of those behind. It's crazy. I brought a coat. Now remember, I'm in Southwest Florida. If you're North Florida, you're probably going to use a coat. I have this coat. It's real pretty, and I like it. Rick bought it for me a few years ago. I haven't worn it in like 6 years since I moved here. And then I have this other coat. It's a little bit of a lighter coat. I've never worn it in 6 years. And even when I went to Ohio, I went once in October because my mom had surgery, and another time, it must have been October for Rick's mom's funeral. It was a couple 2-3 years ago. And even then, I didn't use the coat. Boots, don't bring them. If you need to go up back north during the winter, just borrow somebody's boots, because you don't have space down here, unless you know you have a huge house that you're moving into. Because if you're moving into an apartment, none of them are huge, and especially if you have a family. If you're a single person, of course you could bring more of your own things. But when you have 4 people, everybody wants to bring their own thing, and it's impossible. That pod alone got filled up with those 2 tables that Rick made me, the kitchen, small tiny round kitchen table that you probably have seen in my other videos. That was my aunt's. And I probably could have come down without it, but it's worked out perfectly for these the apartment that we moved into, and then this house that we moved into. So kind of glad I kept that. The chairs that went with it. I didn't bring a sofa. I'm trying to think what I brought. That pod was filled to the top. Oh, I brought Rick's grandmother's rocking chair. I have a memory box. I have one big Tupperware box. If you have a dog, you got your dog bed you got to bring down. It's just a small one, but it adds up. Everything adds up. I brought a patio chair. I probably shouldn't have bothered. There's plenty of patio chairs down here. Oh, we bought all new mattress. Do not bring your mattresses down here. Yes, they're expensive to buy, but that will fill up your pod or your trailer that you're going to bring your stuff down real fast. So I would recommend not to bring any beds or mattresses or dressers. That's all can be bought here. Second-hand stores and the thrift stores have furniture that's like brand new. I'm not kidding. There's a lot of the elderly end up downsizing, moving into nursing homes or moving in with their children, and then they have this furniture they have to get rid of, and it's like brand new. They take good care of their stuff. Craigslist is a great place for shopping too. People are always moving and selling their things. So trying to think what else. Yeah, you don't need a hat down here. You don't need gloves. I do actually like to keep a hat. I sleep with a hat because I get headaches, so I have a hat. But you don't need the gloves. Well, I wear gloves too sometimes. My fingers get purple and cold if the air conditioning's on. But most of you don't need gloves or hats or scarves or boots or those winter coats. You know what's funny I found down here is they actually sell boots and coats, and I asked, I said, why are you selling boots and coats down here, like at Bass Pro Shop? And they'd say they have a lot of people from the north or from Europe or Russia that come here to vacation, and they just buy stuff to take back. So you could even buy if you want boots and coats, you can buy them here. Leave everything back home. You're wanting to save money, and if you don't want the stress. I know some of you won't agree with me because you're very sentimental, just like me. But as you go through the process, if you haven't gone through the process yet, you're gonna find that it is very stressful, and you're gonna say, you know what, Melody was right. I should get rid of this stuff. So remember me when you're sitting in the garage like I did, trying to figure out what's going to fit in that pod. My brother, who also moved down here, was helping Rick trying to fit everything in the pod. Before we moved it in the pod, we said let's make a chalk line as to how big the pod was in the garage, and whatever we could fit in Tupperware boxes, and that's how we packed, mostly in Tupperware boxes. We were like filling up that spot in 2 seconds, and I still had a house full of stuff, and I was literally crying. I was sitting in the garage and was crying, and I was like, I don't want to get rid of everything. It hit me until it was like moving time. It was like, I've got so much stuff, and honestly, I didn't buy most of it. It was mostly gifts or hand-me-downs or passed, down through family, and things accumulated, and I don't know where it came from, but I had gotten attached, and I was crying, and it was so hard to watch. And I know, and my brother and Rick, I'm sure, got rid of stuff without me knowing about it, so I wouldn't even see it, because later on I'm like, where's that box of books that I had? And they're like, oh, I don't know. And I know they probably just donated it, but I don't even remember what books they might have been. Yeah, books. I'm a book lover. I sell books, so I know all about the love of books. Leave them behind. You can get new ones. There's Goodwills that sell books for real cheap. You can buy them online if there's a specific book that you really need. Those are heavy and take up a lot of space. I would start immediately if you plan on moving in a year or 2 or 3 or 4 or 5. Just start getting rid of stuff now because it's less painful. Very slowly, just starting the things that you know you just don't care about, you don't really need or want. Do those things first and stop at bringing stuff into the house. If you bring something new into the house, get rid of like 5 more things. And then you're going to have to go to that next step, and the kind of things that you sort of are important to you, get rid of them. And you'll find yourself naturally finally wanting to get rid of stuff like, I don't really need this, and this is not as important as I thought. In the beginning of the process, everything is like, oh my God, everything's important. I can't get rid of anything. I love everything. I need everything. And as you go through the process, you will find that things mean less and less to you. Moving day came along. That pod was filled to the rim. It was filled, I don't know with what. That shows you how unimportant whatever I had in there is or was. We got down here to Florida, and we got here a couple days early, so they gave us an apartment that was furnished. And while we were waiting for our pod to get here and for our apartment to get ready, and when the pod came, I really didn't even remember what the heck was in there, because we were living for like a week in this furnished apartment. So I didn't have anything with me other than what we filled in our car, a backpack each, and some dog food and a little dog bed, and that was it. And so the pod came, we started unloading, and then I realized, and this was a 3-bedroom, 1,300 square foot apartment. That's a pretty large apartment for down here. 2 bathrooms, 3 bedrooms, and a little patio. We couldn't fit everything in that apartment, so I had to get rid of more. So that pod, which I thought was pretty tiny, that I thought for sure all that stuff would have plenty of room in this apartment, it was still too much. So we took it down to 2 or 3 different thrift shops. I know we had a collection of beer steins from Avon, because I've sold Avon for years, and I used to buy Rick beer steins for his Father's Day and birthdays and Christmas. So, we're like, let's just save like the 1, 2, 3 of them, your most favorite, and we took them and we sold them and did pretty good. Oh, and I used to collect porcelain dolls. So I had all these porcelain dolls. I'm like, what am I doing? Porcelain dolls. And I love them. They're beautiful, but there's no room for them. And you know what? Just getting dusty. We wanted to start a fresh new life, and dusting was not part of the plan. And then we found this house about 8 months after we moved into that apartment. We had no idea that this town even existed, but it was the bottom of the crash, the economy, and we got a super deal on this house. So we moved in, and with our few things, and we have not accumulated any more things since we moved here, other than a grill, which just broke. We're not buying any more grills, they always break. So as far as what to pack nothing. Take the least amount as possible. Take pictures of all your sentimental things. Start now. Start yesterday. Get rid of everything. You will be surprised once you get rid of stuff, and once you move, you'll be like, you won't even remember what you had. And you feel so free, such a freeing feeling not to be tied down by things. Think of a minimalist lifestyle. Even when you're trying to be a minimalist, you still got too much stuff, usually, most of us. Some of you are really good at that, and you literally have nothing. But like I said, I've got a couple of t-shirts, shirts, a couple of shorts. That's basically what I wear, and boat shoes and sandals. I don't even use my sandals. I wear my boat shoes every day because they're so comfortable. Nothing that you need other than your family. Come on down, and once you're settled, then you can buy new things with the money that you made, and you'd be surprised how well you could do selling your things on Craigslist or taking to thrift stores. Because we did that too. Besides Craigslist, when we were up north, we took we had a couple of really good thrift stores that would sell our things for a good price, and they took a commission, and we still made out. But I try my best. I don't care how cheap something is. I just try not to buy it, because I don't want to spend my life down here in paradise dusting or cleaning. If my house burned down, the most important thing are my kids, my husband, the dogs, and, well, maybe our laptops because of the information that's in there. So just think about it, and it'll make your life a lot easier the less you have. And the more affordable the move will be, the less stressful the move will be. And think of it as a new adventure. You don't have to live the way you lived where you are now. You could live a different lifestyle if you want, if that's what you want. You can live any way you want. That's what this channel is about. It's about being free to choose your life, how you want to live it. It's very short, and enjoy it. Well, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.